Let's begin with security matters. Northern governors and traditional rulers have convened on Kaduna to tackle the worsening insecurity and other critical issues facing the region. The high-level summit focused on insecurity, poverty, the growing number of out-of-school children, and broader socio-economic challenges confronting northern Nigeria. Governors from Kaduna, Zamfara, Kebbi, Gombe, and Niger states attended alongside prominent traditional leaders, including the Sultan of Sokoto, Sa'ad Abubakar, the Emir of Zazzau, and the Etsu Nupi.
In spite of our best efforts so far, either as individual state governments or a collective, we cannot overemphasize the critical need to once again address pointedly the twin scourges of poverty and insecurity across the states in the north. Our region once revered as for its rich culture, agricultural abundance, and resilience now bears the heaviest burden of economic deprivation and violent unrest. Millions of our people are trapped in cycles of destitution, with insecurity driving displacement and economic paralysis. This unacceptable reality demands more than rhetoric. It requires decisive, united, and sustained action.
This meeting comes at a critical juncture in our region's history, when the challenges we face demand nothing less than our collective wisdom and decisive action. I want to express my deepest condolences to the governments and peoples of Plateau, Bauchi, Benue, Borno, and Yobe states, and indeed the entire people of northern Nigeria over the recent tragic killings that took place in the various states. This mindless act of violence against innocent citizens reminds us of the urgent need to redouble our security efforts and ensure that adequate security measures are vigorously implemented for the safety of our people. While we commend Mr. President for his sustained commitment to Nigeria's security, we must acknowledge the recent setbacks in our efforts to combat insecurity and other social vices.
A group known as the Concerned Abuja Indigents has accused the federal government of extrajudicial killings following the clampdown of suspected members of the Islamic movement of Nigeria by the Nigerian military. The group says that several residents of the capital were arrested by the military and tortured to death despite not being members of the movement. The group spoke to newsmen in Abuja, alleging that multiple detainees who were arrested and killed in custody by the military were not picked at protest scenes, but after protests following the security clampdown.
Among the dead is Mr. Abdullahi Bello, a well-known businessman who had no tie to the Islamic movement in Nigeria. He was arrested alive, tortured to death by severe beating in the army barracks, and later dumped at mortuary. He was not shot, he was beaten to death. Mr. Bello is not the only one. Multiple detainees were killed in custody inside a military barrack after their arrest, not in the protest scene, but after capture. Innocent Abuja indigents who were not part of the protest, but were simply going out their daily business, were also arrested, beaten, and some killed.
Still in the north, but now in Katsina State, northwest Nigeria, the scars of banditry runs deep as whole communities have been displaced, with families torn apart and survivors left with nothing but trauma. A year after violent attacks forced many families from their ancestral homes, victims are still struggling to rebuild their lives, with their pleas for help seemingly lost in the wind. In this special report, our correspondent Jamil Mabai brings you the heartbreaking stories of those living in the shadow of terror.
They came with violence and left with everything. Homes reduced to ashes, livelihoods wiped out. Lives shattered in seconds. For the people of Guda community in Kofi local government of Katsina State, banditry isn't just a headline. It's a daily nightmare that refuses to end.
Tunda mu amma mu banna ta mamaki amma babu kamar su gaban mu aka kashe shi sannan kuma dama kamin shi amma mu ga wake sun yi a kirga yanzu dai magana da ake a gurguje ba mai wata sana'a wadda za a ci gata ta kamar mai mutum na neman iyalan shi abinci
saboda akwai wani lokaci wanda ma an kusa sati ban san inda iyali na suke ba san inda nake ba rayuwa ta ni kan hankali na ma bai kwanci kusan ban san abin da nake wani lokaci wala ya na wata wani lokacin ban gane lokacin da ake ciki saboda abin nan ya tada mana hankali.
Once these fields fed families, now they are graveyards of memories. Farmers too terrified to return.
Noma ina noma yayo noma sai dai abin da ba a rasa ba a gurguje ka je ka fara shakka an ce gasanan ko kuma kana noma an ce gasanan ka tashi ka ruga in ba masu gonakai ba nan jikin birci to ba wanda ya noma can abin da ya yamma gonakai sai dai yanzu suna nan an sanya musu wuta duk haki ne an toye.
Their stories are not just a pain, they are warnings. Survivors mute what authorities won't admit. This crisis is spreading from whispers in distant villages to bloodshed on their doorsteps. Armed young men, ruthless and unchecked, turning villages into war zones. Families who once only heard of the violence now live it.
Garanti ne wannan ni duk inda aka ce wani abin zai je ba ni musu saboda ga can baya labarin abin muke ji nesa sai aka waye gari ya motso mu akalla an ɗauka mu san huda tun can baya sa ya kai 60 da wani abu
yanzu ka dauka wannan kayan da ke gida wallahi su kadai ne gida na an kona shago da an kona ban ga da zan ban koma gari kuma in ce zan ci abinci a gari saboda yanayin da ake.
1 year later, the world has moved on. But for the victims of Katsina banditry, time stands still. Their question remains, when will help come? Or will their cries fade into the silence, like the ashes of their forgotten homes? In Katsina, reporting for News Central, I am Jamil Mabai.
And now to politics. The All Progressives Congress is currently holding its local government primary election at the party secretariat in Ikeja under tight security. The election will determine APC candidates for chairmanship and councillorship positions ahead of the fast approaching July 12 local government elections. According to the Lagos State Independent Electoral Commission, 57 council areas comprising 20 local government areas and 37 local council development areas will elect 377 councillors. Of 470 aspirants who submitted nomination forms, 433 chairmanship hopefuls were actually cleared by the APC screening committee.
Parts of the state, God will be with you and God will bless you. As you dedicate your time for the party, God will dedicate his time for you and your family. So as we are calm like this, let's be calm. We will go in, LASEC has seen the process. We go in, we do our voting, peacefully we will count, and everybody will go. There are some local governments that they don't consensus, they have only one candidate. So those are the ones that they will do first, because there's only one. So they will do those one first, because their leadership, they've agreed, they have only one candidate collected the form. So that way we do that, they go home, chicken, okay? All the others, we then start the voting, we count in front of everybody, and we all go home peacefully. So it's a peaceful process. So I want to thank you again on behalf of our party, on behalf of our president, on behalf of the governor of the state. I want to thank all of us. Let's do it peacefully, we do it quickly, and we go. And like I said, our LASEC, the chairman, all the commissioners are here, they're observing it.
It's been very well organized, it's been calm, it's been a peaceful atmosphere as you can see. We've been here since morning, though it took a little while for the exercise to get going. But after the accreditations and every stakeholder passed through to come in, and we were addressed, and ever since the process has started, it's been very cool, very calm, and you will agree with me, it's been very credible of some sort, because there's been no complaints so far. Some of our people have been able to cast their votes peacefully, and they've gone back to their various abode. So, but we still have some of the aspirants and their agents waiting to see the outcome of the whole exercise. So, I give kudos to the organizers so far.
Still on political-related stories, the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Abdullahi Ganduje, says there is nothing wrong with having a one-party system in Nigeria. Ganduje spoke after leading a delegation of 3 senators from Kebbi State to meet with President Bola Tinubu. The 3 senators, namely Adamu Aliero, Yahaya Abdullahi, and Garba Maidoki, on the platform of the People's Democratic Party, declared their intention to join the APC. Reacting to whether the wave of defection of opposition politicians to the ruling APC would not slide Nigeria into a one-party state, Ganduje cited China as an example of a working one-party state. To discuss this, we are joined by a political analyst, Moses Idika. Mr. Idika, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Good evening.
You're welcome. Now, is there anything wrong if a country has a one-party system?
Yes, definitely. There's so many things wrong. And Nigeria constitutionally is a multi-party state. So it is unfortunate when the ruling party chairman comes out to say that there is nothing wrong if Nigeria becomes a one-party state. And recall that in 2015, Omar Ganduje contested the election on the platform of an opposition political party. PDP was the ruling party then. He was in APC. He contested the election and he won. And he won twice. Supposedly, he won the election twice, even as a member of opposition political party. Now, the APC is now at the Aso Rock Villa, and he wishes that Nigeria goes to become a one-party state. And when you look at it, you see it's hallucinating. And I think that no one should take him serious because, 1, it is unconstitutional. 2, of course, it's against everything that Nigeria stands for. Why did we kick out the military? We kicked out the military because the military became a unitary system, made Nigeria a unitary system, whereby the commander-in-chief is in Abuja and determines everything that happens within the 744 local governments of Nigeria and the 36 states. So it is very, very unfortunate, and I really wish that Nigerians shouldn't take him serious.
Moses, you said it is unconstitutional. What if that is what the people desire or they want, just as the APC national chairman insinuated?
There is no Nigerian, aside from those in APC of today, who wishes that Nigeria becomes a one-party state. You know, thank God that Ganduje talked about China. China became a one-party state over 100-year period. China evolved. By the time they became a one-party state, the institutions of governance, the institutions to guide the economy and all of it, they evolved to the point that even though China is a one-party state, the checks and balances of certain individuals coming into power, coming into public office is very, very slim. Okay, look at it. Between 2018 and 2021, Ganduje was in the eye of the storm over the video leaked by the Daily Nigerian about his a $5 million bribery scandal. If it was in China, I do not think that Ganduje would be anywhere near the seat of power. Perhaps he may even have been in jail or something else, something more drastic. That is the kind of system that China runs, even as a one-party state. They do not tolerate, the institutions of governance in China do not tolerate characters like Ganduje, who is citing China as an example of a one-party state.
Moses, even democracy itself guarantees freedom of association. And, you know, Ganduje has come out to say that cross-carpeting is a free choice, entrenched in democracy itself. It has nothing to do with forcing. It has to do more with negotiation. What do you think of that postulation?
Of course, even by our own constitution, we have that constitutional freedom, constitutional right to associate with whom we wish to associate with, or any legal organization we wish to associate with. But that is definitely different from Nigeria descending into a single-party state. That is inimical to our constitution, and it is even, Nigeria is a multicultural country. We are reputed to have over 200 ethnic groups. China, that Ganduje is citing, has majorly Chinese people and a single culture. Is more like a monocultural country. So it is not even, it may not be too difficult to govern a country like China under party state because they have that single cultural affinity. Of course, there are usually pockets of other differences here and there, but China is definitely not an example of a democracy. And Nigeria, recall that even at the dawn of independence, we had regional governments that came with various political parties, the NCNC in the South, the Northern People's Union, the Action Group in the Southwest, and even in the North, there were still some other ones in the North Central. So traditionally, culturally, Nigeria cannot survive a one-party state unless if Ganduje is calling for a return to military rule, which we forbid, which we pray should never happen in Nigeria. But what he's advocating for, it is, I think, like what happened in Korea, in South Korea. Ganduje should hide his face in shame. In fact, the leadership of All Progressive Congress across states of Nigeria should be thinking of removing Ganduje because that statement, that insinuation is unconstitutional and is against the spirit of Nigeria as we have it today.
All right, Moses Idika, thank you so much for your time with us on the news. Well, thanks for staying with us. Now, earlier on the news, we told you that the All Progressives Congress is currently holding its local government primary election at the Ikeja headquarters in Lagos. And of course, we have our correspondent Omolola Ololade, who has been standing by and documenting the process. She's right here with us, definitely from the venue, and she will be giving us the updates. Omolola, tell us, how is the primary election going on now?
Hello, Leko. We're still at, the APC Secretariat, the headquarters here in Ikeja, Lagos, where the just concluded primaries for the local government chairmanship elections and, of course, the LCDAs. They have just concluded voting, and many of the aspirants and even the delegates and agents have left, while some have stayed back to hear the result. And as it is, if you can look right behind me, if you can see behind me, sorting and counting, and of course, the declaration of winners for each local local government, and local council development areas just going on. And they've, I think around about now, they've counted over 30 to 30 something local government areas, and they've declared the winners. And we have less than 20, about 20 or 20 something number of what's it called? 20 something number of parties going on. I mean, the local chairmanship candidates still going on. But as it is, there have been a rancor, some sort of rancor by the saying that they are not satisfied with some of the results, and they're saying that that is not a true representation of what they went in to vote for.
What might have happened for them to have said that they are disgruntled as regards the process of the primaries?
Okay, so because as you can see, as you well know, that the delegates are a representation of the people across the world, and then some of them are saying that that is not a true reflection of what they went into vote for. They're even saying that some, that to their surprise, some candidates who have withdrawn still have their names on the result sheets. That why is that, and that to them is not a true reflection of whatever it is that is going on, the true reflection of.
Details from you, Omolola. Thank you so much for sharing these updates with us. Let's move on now. From NSAS to fuel subsidy and end bad governance protests, Nigerians have taken to the streets time and again to demand justice and accountability. But how effective are these protests in actually influencing political decisions? While mass demonstrations often gain global attention, the outcomes are mixed, raising questions about their long-term impact. The Essentials' Suwesianyo reports.
Citizens often turn to protests in response to pressing issues such as rising living costs, insecurity, police misconduct, and unreliable public services. For many participants, protesting is a means to amplify their voices and demands when traditional channels seem ineffective.
When people are protesting and fighting, essentially what that means is that the people are trying to stop the process of exploitation.
It was that protest that really made Nigerians and the whole world know the kind of person at the helm of affairs in Nigeria today as the president, as somebody who is not ready to listen to other voices.
Protests have occasionally prompted the government to act, as seen in the 2020 NSAS movement, which led to the disbandment of the controversial police unit, the Special Anti-Robbery Squad.
In October 2020, which was just a spontaneous expression of a nation and a people that had gotten tired of the same police brutality happening over and over again. In fact, it took almost a week or thereabout before the mass of young people on the street of Lagos, Abuja and Co. began to piece together what will become a list of demands.
We have not gotten to the Eldorado. We are not satisfied yet. We have not really totally gotten to the level where we could say that the government has listened to the plight of Nigerians through protests.
Despite the energy and bravery shown on the streets, real change often stalls once the crowds disperse. Analysts believe protests must now evolve into sustained movements, combining action on the streets with participation at the polls and engagement in policy debates.
If our struggle is going to be able to win any real victory in the coming period, all of the fighting forces, youth organizations, whatever, whether in bad governance, this one, we need to find a way to come together. We don't have to be under the same roof. But it should be possible to say that if we are moving out on this particular day, all of us would agree together.
For Nigerians, the question remains, will their voices on the streets translate into lasting change, or will the protest continue to fade into memory? Only time and collective action will tell. In Lagos, for News Central, So we see, I know.
Away from that, a group of lawyers have expressed support for Senate President Godswill Akpabio's decision to step down from our presidential panel investigating sexual harassment allegations made by Senator Natasha Akpoti-Oduaghan. The lawyers argue that Akpabio's withdrawal was the right thing to do, as his involvement could have been perceived as a conflict of interest. The panel was established by President Bola Tinubu on April 2, 2025, headed by Vice President Kashim Shettima, with a mandate to investigate the serious allegations that have drawn national attention and embarrassment. Other members of the panel included the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, the Attorney General of the Federation, Lateef Fagbemi, and one representative, each nominated by Senator Akpabio and Senator Akpoti-Oduaghan. Let's now tell you that international polling agency, the NOI Polls and Pro-Transparency Organization, the Afrobarometer, has released its round 10 data on corruption in Nigeria. The survey paints a gloomy picture of Nigeria's war against corruption and citizens' perception of corruption in the country, revealing that 8 out of 10 Nigerians believe corruption has gotten worse nationwide. The survey also reveals that many citizens believe that they will be targeted by institutions of government if they expose corruption taking place in the country.
If 8 in 10 Nigerians are saying that perception is on that corruption is on the increase, I think it's worrisome. And when we look at the trend is what really catches my attention more, because Afrobarometer data is standardized over the years. It's the same question that was asked in 2017 that was asked in 2024. 80% of Nigerians feel corruption is on the increase. That's double. So where has that confidence gone to? So is the trust in institutions, what Nigerians are seeing every day is really eroding the confidence they have, and it's making them to see that corruption is really on the increase. And I think government needs to do something to rebuild that confidence.
This for us is, it actually shows what Nigerians are saying. Basically, Nigerians have said that the trust they have for certain institutions have actually dropped. And we should all be bothered if Nigerians are saying that they do not have trust in the parliamentarians, they do not have trust in the executives, they do not have trust in the police, then we should be worried. For us, what we have done as Afrobarometer is to put out what Nigerians are saying.
Away from that, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has announced the successful repatriation of 115 trafficked Nigerians from Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire. In a statement released on Saturday in Abuja, spokesperson of the ministry, that is Kimebi Ebienfa, confirmed that the returnees were scheduled to arrive on Saturday at the Lagos Murtala Mohammed International Airport aboard a chartered flight. The victims, who were reportedly trafficked to Côte d'Ivoire, were brought back at no cost to the Nigerian government. Efforts to combat human trafficking have intensified following disturbing reports of underage Nigerian girls being trafficked abroad. And now to the energy sector. Con Oil Producing Limited, the oil exploration outfit of Nigerian telecom and oil billionaire Mike Adenuga, has made another bold move in Africa's energy industry by achieving a major milestone, and that is the export of Nigeria's newest crude oil blend, known as Obodo Blend. In April 2025, Con Oil Producing, under the leadership of Adenuga, the first Nigerian businessman to strike oil, officially launched the Obodo Blend, marking a fresh chapter for Nigeria's oil industry. Production was carried out under a production sharing contract with the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited. The Obodo Blend is a medium sweet crude extracted from the onshore OML 150 block. This block is managed by Continental Oil and Gas Limited, one of the operating companies under Adenuga's Con Oil Producing Limited, which holds 6 oil blocks across the Niger Delta. In a historic first, Owando Trading, the trading arm of Owando Group, led by Group Chief Executive Wale Tinubu, became the first company to purchase and lift the new Obodo blend. The offtake was carried out by the Atlantic Spirit, one of Owando's vessels, under the watch of Century Ports and Terminals, marking the debut of Obodo crude on the international market. A key part of this milestone was Century Ports and Terminals, whose management of the Tamara Tokoni, our floating production, storage and offloading vessel, created the crucial link between Con Oil's onshore wells and Owando's export tanker. Thanks to their careful coordination, the first barrels of Obodo crude set sail smoothly under Panama's flag. Now, Nigeria's National Petroleum Company Limited is set to partner with the Dangote Refinery to improve the supply of petroleum products across the country. This was made known in Abuja as the Group Chief Executive Officer of the NNPC Limited received the management of the Dangote Refinery PLC at the NNPC Limited headquarters in Abuja. The Chief Executive Officer of the Dangote Refinery assured of the refinery's commitment to the partnership, saying that they are open to future collaborations that will improve Nigeria's oil and gas sector.
Actually, nothing like competition between us. The relationship is that of collaboration, and we'll continue to collaborate in various sectors, downstream, upstream, whatever it is. Even if there are things that we're not into, if they invite us to collaborate and join forces, we'll do so.
Still talking oil and gas, Nigeria's refinery operations have been marked by a period of sudden starts and stops, along with significant shakeups in the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited. In this explainer, News Central's Ibalani Yomoni gives an update on the current state of the refineries and the challenges facing Nigeria's oil production.
There are 4 major government-owned refineries under the NNPCL that have been abandoned for years. The unproductivity of the 4 refineries in Port Harcourt, Warri and Kaduna, with a total combined capacity of 445,000 barrels per day, had forced Nigeria to resort to the importation of petrol and other refined petroleum products from abroad. Amid the controversy of fuel subsidy removal and unoperational refineries, Aliko Dangote floated the biggest petrochemical refinery to fill the gap in Nigeria. Shortly after it came on stream, Nigeria's refineries suddenly became operational after years of inactivity. Months later, Nigeria's refinery operations have been a story of sudden starts and stops. Despite the initial positive news of the restart of the Port Harcourt refinery after a long-term rehabilitation process, it has been operating at a reduced capacity, with the documents revealing that it has been running at just 37.87% of its installed capacity. The Kaduna refinery has also been struggling to operate at full capacity. The Warri refinery was initially declared operational after a revamp that cost $897.6 million, but it was shut down shortly after due to safety concerns unrelated to crude distillation unit's main heater. The shutdown has raised questions about the effectiveness of the revamp and the transparency of NNPCL's management of the facility.
We've been hearing other reports from the social media. We couldn't lay hand on anyone that is credible to refute the fact that that refinery actually came to light.
It is imperative that the NNPCL provide full transparency on the expenditures and activities undertaken during Malam Kyari's tenure. This information is crucial for ensuring accountability and restoring public trust in the operations of the NNPCL.
The recent sudden shakeup at the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited, NNPCL, announced by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, without doubt, sent shockwaves through Nigeria's oil and gas industry. The changes included removal of Mele Kyari as the group CEO and termination of the managing directors of Port Harcourt, Warri and Kaduna refineries, alongside several other senior staff members. Being the backbone of Nigeria's economy, What happens in the NNPCL impacts the entire economy. As such, industry experts believe that the key to unlocking the full potential of Nigeria's oil industry lies in transparency, accountability, and diversification.
The NNPC then needs to look at the assets on its books, such as the refineries, and ask itself hard questions. Is that the best capital allocation for its business? If it's not, then maybe the time to sell it is now.
With the shake-up in the NNPC Limited, the questions being asked is to what extent would the new appointments in the organizations do things different from the previous ones? Are the appointments made to bring change, mark a new beginning, or is it just another round of routine exercise to bring in new people to come and share Nigeria's treasury? There is a myriad of challenges that a new board is expected to tackle as Nigerians hope for a brighter future where the benefits of oil production are shared by all.
Let's now go to Plateau State, where women in Bassa local government area are to benefit from the state's Women in Agriculture project as a way of empowering them in the face of many effects of climate change. According to the organizers of the project, this is to impact women with the know-how for greater yields and better agricultural practices. News Central's Chizoba reports that local government areas in Plateau State have donated 500 hectares of land each for about 200,000 economic trees to be planted across the state to mitigate the effects of climate change.
The effects of climate change globally has been devastating, the reason why all hands are currently on deck to mitigate further hazardous outcomes. Studies predict a decrease in major crop yields by 17% by 2050, while food costs are expected to increase by 25% during the same period. This is the reason these women are here from Bassa local government area of Plateau State to improve their knowledge on best practices.
Most of the women in Bassa local government and of course across Plateau State are farmers, and it's important for them to know how best to engage in agriculture so that they don't get frustrated, because if we rely on rain-fed agriculture alone, chances are that the yields would not be the best.
Despite the unavailability of financial loans for farmers, experts say there is hope for improved agriculture on the plateau, even in the face of glaring challenges of climate change.
These women, 120 of them from different locations within Bassa local government, will be put in clusters, and then they will have mentors that will guide them in their farms throughout the farming season. At the same time, again, each of them is going to be given an incentive of minimum of 50,000 naira and a maximum of 200,000 based on what they are going to do. And the total investment that will support these women is around 18 million naira.
For these beneficiaries, they can only hope for the best.
We should not cut trees anyhow. Even if we cut, we're supposed to plant more than what we cut. I've even started thinking of, if I get home, how I'll start developing myself. At least, maybe if I put it, I can sell it and get something that will help me to develop myself.
If programs such as this will be sustained and closely monitored, then farming will be better practiced with little or no effects of climate change on farm yields. In Plateau State, for News Central, Chizoba and Nyowi.
From other parts of Africa, we tell you that torrential rains have triggered deadly floods in particularly the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, killing over 100 people, many as they slept. The floods swept through a Kasaba village in South Kivu province during the night between Thursday and Friday. Regional officials confirmed that at least 104 people, including many children, have lost their lives. Authorities reported enormous material damage as homes and infrastructure were destroyed. However, rescue efforts are ongoing with local teams searching for survivors and recovering bodies. The disaster marks one of the deadliest flooding events in the region in recent years. Meanwhile, officials have urged for emergency assistance and warned of the potential for further flooding as heavy rains have continued across the area. Now, Human Rights Watch says 2 prominent opposition figures in Mali have been abducted by masked gunmen in what appears to be part of a growing crackdown on dissent by the country's military government. General Secretary of the Codem Party, Abba Alassane, was taken from his residence in Bamako. El Bashir Thiam of the Change Party was abducted in Kati, near the capital. Both men had participated in a rare anti-junta protest held last weekend. Despite searches at police and gendarmerie stations, their whereabouts remain unknown. Mali's ruling junta, having seized power through 2 coups, has postponed its transition to civilian rule and recently suspended all political parties. From outside of Africa, we tell you that the leaders of France, Britain, Germany and Poland agreed on Saturday to call on Russia to accept a 30-day unconditional ceasefire starting on Monday. The proposal came after the 4 leaders, part of an alliance Britain and France call the Coalition of the Willing, met President Volodymyr Zelensky in the Ukrainian capital, Kyiv. Russia has shown no signs of halting its 3-year invasion of Ukraine and rejected a similar proposal put forward by the United States and Kyiv in March. Moscow warned earlier there could be no truce unless the West halted arms deliveries to Kyiv. Pope Leo XIV has addressed cardinals at the Vatican just 2 days after his election, declaring that his choice of papal name reflects a renewed commitment to social justice. According to the Vatican, the new pontiff drew inspiration from Pope Leo XIII, renowned for defending workers' rights during the First Industrial Revolution. In a transcript of his Saturday address, Pope Leo XIV said the world now faces similarly profound challenges, this time driven by a new industrial revolution and rapid advancements in artificial intelligence. He urged the Church to let its social teachings shape responses to these modern transformations, emphasizing the defense of human dignity, justice, and labor rights. His remarks signaled a strong early focus on tackling global inequality and the disruptive effects of emerging technologies. Let's talk sports now. The Nigeria Football Federation has issued a stern warning to referees officiating in national competitions, including the NPFL, NNL, NWFL, and President's Confederation Cup. In a memo dated May 9, 2025, the NFF emphasized strict adherence to fair officiating amid increased pressure during the crucial league phase. Referees found guilty of bias or misconduct face a minimum 10-year ban and potential referral to the Department of State Security for investigation. The directive highlights the NFF's commitment to integrity, with independent monitors deployed to match venues to detect and report violations. The initiative is part of broader efforts to uphold fairness and transparency in Nigerian football. Jamaican sprint legend Shirley Ann Fraser-Price will return to the Diamond League in Doha on May 16, marking her first appearance at the event in 3 years. The 38-year-old 5-time world champion opened her 2025 season with a wind-assisted 10.94 seconds win in Kingston last month and will aim for another fast time in Qatar. As one of the most decorated sprinters in history, Fraser-Pryce is preparing for a possible final appearance at the World Championships in Tokyo this summer. Her last Doha outing was in 2021, where she won the 100 meters in 10.84 seconds. This season could mark the closing chapter of a remarkable career that has inspired generations around the world. That's all at this hour on the news. But then let's look at our top stories before we go. Northern governors, traditional rulers have met in Kaduna to tackle worsening insecurity and other critical issues facing the region. All Progressives Congress is holding local government primary election in Lagos. We also told you that Mali opposition leaders Alassane Thiam have been abducted. Don't forget to send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen. And while you do so, follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can equally watch us live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, including Avo TV and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Lekon Onobanjo.